Hello and welcome everyone. I see that some are connecting to audio, so we'll give it just a second. Okay, perfect. I think mostly everyone should be connected to audio. I know that it's just 10:31, so we're gonna get people coming in as we go. But we'll go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us, with the Success Coaches, to learn a little bit more about what it is that we do and how we help our students here at Cosumnes River College. We hope that you walk away with a better understanding of what our role is. And we're going to go ahead and drop in the sign-in right now, Gurpreet, into the chat. If you can do us a favor and go ahead and sign in, and that way we also make sure to send you any other relevant information after our presentation. So this is a little bit about what we're going to be going over today. We'll go ahead and introduce the team. We're going to have some interactive portions, but of course we're going to go over we're going to overview our role here, go over some key initiatives and data, our programming, and then talk to a little bit more detail about how we can collaborate to help support our students. But we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves. I'll go ahead and start. My name is Lucia Rodriguez. I am the success coach for our general education and undecided students. And then we'll just go down the line. I'll go ahead and start with Choua, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Choua Vue. I'm a success coach here at CRC. Specifically, I support students in the community for agriculture, food, and natural resources, and for health and human services. I've been at CRC since 2019. So glad to have all of you to share this space with us today. And I'll let the next success coach introduce themselves.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Gurpreet Bhatia, and I'm also one of these success coaches. I am the success coach for arts, media, and entertainment, and automated construction and design technology.
Okay. So we also have Jennifer. Unfortunately, she's not here today, but she is the success coach for our science, math, and engineering. And my name is Houa Vue. I am the success coach for our second year student here at CRC.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jenny Bang. I'm the success coach for English and Language Studies and Business and Computer Science. And I'll pass it along to the next success coach.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ara Larreynaga, and I support students in the social and behavioral sciences. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being with us.
And then we also have one of our newest team members, Kevin Ming, that we're really excited that he's going to be supporting our students as well. And then apart from our CAC Success Coaches, we also have Denise Figueroa, who is our dual enrollment success coach. And so she supports our high school students that are also attending courses here at CRC. She meets with them, reminds them of how important deadlines, is able to help them just kind of have a nice, smooth transition as they're, being new to the college realm. And then Gurpreet and I will kind of be monitoring the chat, so feel free to go ahead and use that during our presentation. We will have a time at the end for questions, though. But we're going to go ahead and get started with a quick check-in activity. So Gurpreet is going to go ahead and put the link in the chat for our Jamboard. For those that are new to Jamboard, it's going to be for us to be able to put on our notes through sticky notes. So you could change the colors if you want. You could go ahead and play with it, but we'll go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and share my screen for those sticky notes. Okay, so everyone should have access here. And then the first question is, what do you already know about what the success coaches do? And if you can go ahead and add a sticky note or add text for you to be able to go ahead and let us know what you know that we do. And the sticky note icon is right here. Good. I love that you're here to learn. Someone wrote that. That's awesome. And then the sticky notes here, if you guys could see my screen, under the select button, there's like a little button that says sticky notes, and then you could go ahead and type in there. Yeah. So I see that there's also people like joining our Jamboard. So maybe they're thinking about what they want to go ahead and put in. So I'm just going to give it another minute, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to our next question. Okay. Nothing, not for long though, because at the end of this presentation, you're going to know a lot more. So I'm excited for that. Yeah, here to learn. Okay, awesome. So I'm seeing some common themes here that we help our first time new students, that we help them with enrollment, maybe support services, and that, you know, we do meet with them. So I'm also seeing about where it says like, we're here to learn. So I love that. I hope that you walk away with more general questions, personal career questions. I also see about an appropriate math course for their goal. Yes, well, when they're first starting, you know, we don't necessarily plan out for their whole math for their whole college career, but that's an important step. Where do we start? And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Case manage new to college students. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating. Eager to find out. Okay, that's the perfect, that last sticky note, eager to find out, because we're going to go to our next question with is, what do you hope to learn about what the success coaches do? So maybe if there's something very specific that you're like, I heard you guys do this, can you elaborate a little bit more? We want to hear about what it is that you want to learn from this presentation. So I'm just going to give a minute to see if anyone wants to share here. And just as a reminder for anyone that's new to Jamboard or that just kind of came into the Jamboard, go ahead and you click this sticky note here. It's going to be on the little bar on your left-hand side. If you're having trouble accessing the Jamboard, just to make it smoother, you're more than welcome to put in the chat and maybe kind of what your ideas are to answer this question. Sorry about that. Thank you, Frank. I saw success strategies in the chat. I'm seeing about how like we could work together with faculty, when it's appropriate to refer, early alert, when you should encourage, when to refer, when it's important to connect with them, with us, them being students, and then how to connect and what we could do for them, and workshops that we offer. Okay, awesome. Thank you everyone so much for participating. Yeah, so a lot of this is what we are going to go over in our upcoming slides. So we hope that we answer those questions, success strategies that will help our students. We definitely have those when we meet with them one-on-one, and I hope that we elaborate just a little bit during our presentation, Frank, but definitely that's something for us to know for our upcoming Flex presentations. So with that being said, I'm going to go back to our presentation. And then I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Houa, who's going to go ahead and do a little bit of our role overview.
Okay, thank you so much for participating and your engagement. Some of you guys have raised some excellent questions, which we will be answering throughout the presentation today. We're hoping to start off with a brief overview of what we do as a success coach here at CRC. Okay, so who are the success coach, and what can we do to help your students here? So we're here to support students succeed at CRC. We're here to remove any barriers that students may encounter for their time here at CRC. We also help students navigate Canvas and e-service, which can be really confusing for our first-time college students, or just for any students who are taking any online classes for right now. We also place our students into a Canvas shell based by CRC, which we will go into more details later on in the presentation. And no, we do send out nudges, important dates about drop deadlines, enrollment dates happening, any important events that's happening on campus. We do send out those emails and text reminders to our students. And we can also help make counseling appointments for our students and refer them to support service on campus. You know, we do let them know about tutorings, hot cures, how the students can go and grab a snack there if they're on campus and need something to eat. Because as we know right now, our food options are very limited for right now. So we do let our students know that they can go grab something in the hot care too. Okay, so we also work very closely with our counseling department. I'm just kind of go over some of our roles, what we do as success coach and what the counselor do for their role. So we are the first point of contact for students, you know. So we help them with enrollment, connect them to any resource, help them find books if they need anything for their classes. We also help communicate and nudges for them. And then what the counselors can do is we don't make any course recommendation. That's all with counseling. So the counselor makes the recommendation, and we help the students understand their student education plan or their first year class schedule, which can be really confusing for our first year students because they're so used to being in high school and getting enrolled themselves. So now when they come to college, they're like, hey, I don't have anything in my class schedule, so we explain to them the process and we help them with enrollment. Also, counseling, they make the education plans, and students can speak with counselor regarding transfer requirement or career explorations. And counseling also offers short-term personal counseling. And then we also work together with counseling to update the first year students, their class schedules. We also attend counseling meetings and retreats that counselors have. And then we also work with them with any curriculum or articulation changes. So we work really closely with our counseling department. So we are able to assist and help students schedule a counseling appointment, which helps them remove a barrier, one less things for the students have to go through. And I'm going to pass it on next to Choua.
Awesome. We're in the next few slides, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of our key initiatives that we started with to support our students. So we're not just like waiting around for an email referral to come in or a phone call to come in. And one of our first key initiatives is first year milestones. Now, success coaches have developed these milestones as more of a proactive outreach to our students to encourage all of them to kind of these are the goals we want them to work towards in their first year. As we mentioned, because we primarily case manage our first year students, these are the kind of goals that we kind of set up for them, and we kind of teach them about this, and we kind of provide ongoing support for our first year students. Now, throughout their first year, we're going to be sending nudges and notification to our students to kind of work on these milestones and to also recognize when they've accomplished these milestones. Now, with these milestones, we do, partner with our institutional effectiveness to just kind of run strategic reports to kind of get a gauge of how many students have completed these milestones. And for those who have not, well, to kind of do that outreach to nudge them, to remind them to do so, and to provide support to helping them complete these milestones. Now, these milestones do support campus initiatives along with the California Community College and legislative initiative. So, for example, some of our milestones are connected to the CRC We Won't Fall campaign that kind of came up in 2020. They also support guided pathways, the California Community College's Vision for Success, connected to SEEP, our student equity plan, and the college funding formula. Now, the first milestone that we work with students on is just to remind them to constantly apply for financial aid. Now, we know that finances is one of the biggest barriers for our students to go to college, stay in college, and to finish their education at CRC. So we encourage our students to apply, to submit that financial aid application, and also to apply early on so they're more eligible or more likely to meet the priority deadline to max out their eligibility. Um, so we send multiple communication nudges to our students throughout the academic year, but we do focus a lot of our milestone one communications in the spring, especially with the priority deadline coming up. We want to make sure our students are at least set up to have financial aid for the next coming school year, and possibly to get them started for summer if they do attend summer classes. The second milestone is also to ensure that they're taking their math and English course in their first year. So we kind of, not that we coined the slogan, but we kind of remind them, you got to think me first, right? Get your math and your English done within your first year, hopefully within their first semester. And students, who take transfer level math and English, they actually increase their chances of graduating and transferring on time or in a timely manner. And again, for this milestone, we are nudging students to remind them to complete it. And if we don't see that they've attempted it, we also nudge them, just a friendly reminder, don't forget to get this done. Because we're so engaged with the onboarding process for our new students, we usually get students started with math and English through the opt-out schedules and participating in orientation. The third milestone we have is, plan for 15. Now, as part of this milestone, we host enrollment workshops to help our students to enroll, and we offer one-on-one appointments to support them. In the past, we've done persistence campaign where we call our DI, or disproportionately impacted students, on our case management cohort to nudge them to persist from fall to spring. And the idea of Plan for 15 is like, how do you get through in 2, right? How do you get at least the 60 done in 2 years? And that is to be able to, if you're able to take on a 15 unit load per semester, you can finish within 2 years, hopefully. So that's how we kind of put that out there for our students so they can visualize for themselves, how do I get out of here? How do I finish and reach my goal and move on to the next goal? In a timely manner. And the fourth milestone that we work with our students on is to get our students in to meet with a counselor to create a comprehensive student education plan. Now, a comprehensive student education plan kind of lays out all of the classes the students will need to take between now and until they're finished or they reach their goal, whether that's to graduate or graduate and transfer. And like I said, this gives the student like a bigger picture to see like how long, what does that commitment to their education and the classes they're taking, what does that look like? Does that mean, hey, do they have to go to summer, take summer classes to kind of get ahead or to catch up? Does that mean, taking more units, or what does that balance look like for our students? But this really helps them to kind of figure out how long they could be expected to be here at CRC. And then again, our students are meeting with counselors to create and customize this education plan for them based off of their major, their transfer, and their educational goals. Next, we'll share with you what some of that data looks like from our nudges. So now we would like to believe that our efforts do impact and support our student enrollment. Oh, next slide. Sorry, Lucia, if you can move on to the next slide. Thank you. Again, like I mentioned, we would like to believe that our outreach and our support with Milestone is supporting our student enrollment. So I'll just touch base on like the plan for 15. This is just a look at last year's cohort from our 22-23 cohort. By the end of the first year, we had about almost 500 students attempt or complete 12 units per semester. So they finished their first year at CRC with about a 24 unit completion within the first year. And that made up about 22% of our students compared to the previous cohort, which was the 21-22 cohort. We went from 15% to 22%. And we had from last year's cohort, about 300 students complete 15 units per semester, so that by the end of the first year, they were at the 30 units or a little above the 30 units. That made up about 13% of our cohort, which was also an increase from our 21-22 cohort. We went from 6% to 13%. Now, both data points are higher than the completion rate of the 21-22 cohort, and was higher than the new students that didn't get case managed by the CRC Success Coaches. Now, to support our students to enroll, there are different activities that we do to support this initiative. And I'll just give a little glimpse of what we've done this year with this current 23-24 cohort. So what we do is a ton of communication nudge. We're thinking like just in time, like hopefully this will uh, nudge the students to react to some of the things we're asking them to do. So we typically like send out an enrollment reminder checklist of just letting them know like, hey, it's almost time to start enrolling for next semester. These are some of the things you might need to take care of to be ready. We also send out like a text and email reminder the day of their enrollment appointment, just so they don't forget, like today, you're supposed to enroll for spring classes. And of course, we do a follow-up nudge to students who by open enrollment, essentially their date to enroll has already passed and they're still not enrolled, they're at 0 units. We kind of nudge them to say, hey, we noticed like, you haven't enrolled yet. Is there anything we could do to help you? So that nudge kind of happens about 1 month after enrollment has already began. And open enrollment, it's already after finals, and they still haven't enrolled. So what we saw when we pulled the number was 48% of the first year students we were case managing had not enrolled into any classes for spring 24. And of that 48%, 58% of those students identified as our DI students, so our Black, our Latinx, and our Native American students. So in response to that, the success coaches are hosting one-on-one meetings with students to just give them that individual support for enrollment help. We're also hosting an enrollment workshop with counseling, in partnership with counseling, for support. And in December, we made intentional calls to a little over 200 DI students to encourage them to enroll for spring semester. And we held about 170 one-on-one appointments with students. When we looked at the number, when we came back from winter break in early January, really last week, we looked at our numbers, and 44% of the students who originally were not enrolled in December did ending up like enrolling into some units after all of the communication and contact with the success coaches. So if we look at it, it went from 48% not enrolled in December to now we reduced it down to 27%. So we're able to get our students to come back and persist to from fall to spring, which, we like to think, yay, great job. And we're continuing even now in January. We're still holding one-on-one appointments with our students. And tomorrow we're holding our enrollment workshop to provide, just in-person support still to our students. And the graph right there on the lower right-hand side just shows you the orange bar was kind of like where were we at with enrollment and how we've increased enrollment through our outreach to our students to provide them the support and the encouragement to just come back, and let us work with them to support their educational goals. But that's kind of like a wrap for milestone, and I'll let the other success coaches. Wait, actually, that's not a wrap yet. I still have one more data slide to present to y'all. The next one, I do want to highlight a little bit about our comp SCP or getting our students in to meet with counseling, just so they can see again a map of what they need to do to finish their educational goals. And again, very similar. We are sending emails, text messages, lots of Canvas inbox and announcements to our students. And what we saw was by the end of fall 2023, 54% of our case managed students did come in to meet with a counselor to talk about ed planning, which is great. And for students who weren't able to use the online appointment system to book a appointment, they weren't able to call in or didn't stop by the counseling office, they connected to their success coach for help. And the success coaches, we used a Google form for our students to tell us when were they available, like what day, what times worked for them. Using that, we were able to look up the counselor's schedule and book appointments for our students to come in. And what we saw was that using this Google form, we got about, 358 submissions. So it was very popular amongst our students. And using this, actually 58% of our DI students prefer this method compared to doing it themselves or, calling in or coming in person. Using this information, the success coaches were able to assist making 327 counseling appointments for our students to come in to meet with a counselor. What we saw that we had like an 82% show rate of them actually showing up for their appointments, having the opportunity to talk to counselors about their major and their courses. And we just would like to believe that if the student does make a connection with a counselor within the first semester, they're more likely to also continue on with their courses and come back for our spring semester. But yeah, so and next, Jenny will talk a little bit more about our involvement with orientation and onboarding.
Awesome. Thank you, Choua. I do apologize for my raspy voice. I'm recovering from a cough, so I do apologize. But yes, like Choua mentioned, we do start working with the students like way in the beginning. So as you see in this slide right here, another critical area of collaboration for the success coaches is working with the outreach team, where we focus on onboarding and where we assist with virtual and also in-person orientations. And so last May, in preparation for the new onboarding season, we went out to the high schools for the first time since 2020. And we had a total of orientation sessions in general, 52, but out of the 52, we had 19 high school orientations where we went out to all the Elk Grove Unified high schools. We also hosted 31 new student orientations on campus here at CRC and also virtually. And we also hosted a New Student Hawk Day, which is previous called like New Rising Hawk Day, which is an opportunity for those last minute students who still needed to get things done, such as completing their financial aid DREAM Act application, attend orientation, and register for classes. So that was essentially an opportunity where it was like a one-stop shop for students to come in person and kind of rotate through different workshops to get things done. And so through the orientations, there were about, like I said, 1,500 students that attended. And like I said, we really do start working with the students like right in the beginning. And it's really to create that like rich collaboration. So that way there's like a seamless like onboarding process from orientation all the way up to when they enroll in classes. What you see on the screen here is the Success Coach flyer, where we share with the students in orientation sessions. And so this is really for them to get a look early on based off their major, who their assigned success coach is. And like we shared, we're kind of like their first point of contact for any like general questions that they have, onboarding, things like that. So it does include a QR code. So oftentimes as students are in the orientation sessions, they're looking through the flyer and they're like, oh, okay, Jenny's my success coach. And sometimes they're even scheduling like the one-on-one appointments with us right then and there. And so, like I said, it's really an example for us to make that connection early on with students. This flyer is also shared with the Welcome Center. So as students are coming in, if we know that they're like a new first-time student, we generally refer to the flyer to see, based off their major or their CAC, who their first point of contact person is for them to get assistance with the onboarding process. So next slide. So in terms of onboarding, like I mentioned, the success coaches, we do assist the outreach team with orientations kind of like on a needs basis. And so last spring, we were very heavily involved since it was our first time going back out to the high schools since 2020. One thing we also implemented was opt-outs, which you see an example here on the screen. I know there are some folks here who may not be too familiar with opt-outs, so I do want to provide a brief overview. Students do refer to the opt-outs as their CAC education plan, which essentially is like a 15-unit 2-semester recommended list of classes for them to enroll in based off their major. It typically does provide like the transfer level math and English during the first semester. And it's really meant to be like a general like starting point for them, because who I mentioned earlier, in high school, they're so used to like a counselor like handing them their schedule, like, hey, these are the classes that you need to take. But in college, it's the complete opposite, where they have the choice to decide what classes they want to take. And so with the education plan, it does assist a little bit with like, okay, based off your major, these are the classes that are, counselor approved, that are recommended for you to enroll in. So as they are, getting started with the list of classes, we do also recommend for students to follow up and meet with the counselor during the first semester, so that way they can get that comprehensive student education plan, which does list out all the classes that they need to take every semester for them to achieve their college and career goal. So like I mentioned, the opt-outs, that's like an overview. We also do include like important program information at the very top. So, just to go back real quick. So on the very top, it does include information about like their major. So in this case, computer science, there is some information about like course splitting, for example. So any important information that students should be aware of, we generally do note that at the very top of the education plan. Next slide. So this is page 2 of the opt-out, and it's more of like a resource, kind of like a checklist of like your first year, what you need to do in terms of meeting with the counselor, when is the best time to meet with the counselor, financial aid deadlines, reminders. We mentioned briefly about like the first year milestones, which is what Choua mentioned earlier. And then also like hyperlinks with like important resources, such as like academic calendar for like dates and deadlines, how they can connect with us as a success coach. And then typically we do have some screenshots of like hyperlinks of like, oh, if you need help with like enrollments or placements, things like that. So that's generally how page 2 of opt-out looks like, which includes, like I said, a checklist and also helpful resources. Next, I do want to talk about some data from our opt-out process. So for the iteration for this school year, so for the 23-24 school year, from March to September, in terms of students like requesting and requesting for the opt-outs, it was a total of 2,636 students. So those are essentially students that are completing the major selection form to declare, certain majors. And as you can see on the right, you do see the top 10 most requested majors by CAC, with science, math, and engineering being like the most requested. And then next is business and computer science, and then health and human services. So looking at like institutional research, like kind of evaluating the implementation of opt-outs, we have found that students who do receive an opt-out, they are 1.5 times more likely to enroll in 15 units. And that's because, you know, on the opt-out, it does list what classes they should enroll in based off their major. And students that participate in the opt-out, they are about like 1.5 times more likely to return for the spring semester as well. So I do, you know, just wanted to share that nugget of information in terms of the opt-out being a useful resource for our students in knowing what classes that they need to start off with based off their major. So now I'm going to pass it over to Ara, who's going to share a little bit more information about our current and future models.
Awesome. Thank you, Jenny. All right, so I will now review our current success and present and future model. As you may know, if you have been in previous Meet the Success Coaches workshop, you're probably thinking like, whoa, there's more. Yes, we have more success coaches, and I'll explain a little bit about what we do. So yes, we have a total of 8 success coaches. Each model has a different caseload. So we have one of our success coaches working with our dual enrollment students. So these are our high school students taking college courses at CRC. We have 4 success coaches who are working with our first year students. So our caseload involves students who is their first time here at CRC. And so we help with that first year student experience. We are currently case managed for first-time new students, a total of 2,217 students. And as you have heard now, we share a lot of information about enrollment registration assistance, events coming up, important deadlines, and much more. And I'll share how that looks like. And as I mentioned, our team is expanding, and we're really excited about that. And I'm also really excited to announce to you all that we do have a completion team coming soon. So this includes 3 success coaches who will be working with our second-year students. So they'll be working with their second-year students beginning their second year and on. The design and implementation with the completion team is currently under progress, so there will be more to share with you all soon. Next slide, please. One of our efforts is to successfully begin working with our first-time new students. As soon as they're coming to CRC, we want to make sure we have everything ready for them. There are 3 different efforts that really helps this onboarding process. So student appointments, collaboration with outreach for us to be engaged in the orientations, and our opt-outs. This has allowed us to engage with our students as soon as they're coming in. And so through our onboarding efforts for fall 23, summer and fall of 23, we had a total of 1,006 student appointments. So we had a lot of student interaction, Zoom, in person, sometimes phone calls. We attended 52 orientation sessions. Again, those were via Zoom, and some of them were in person here at CRC, and some of those were in person at the high schools. And we also created and reviewed 112 opt-outs. So a combination of all of this has really helped us be very much engaged with our students as soon as they're coming into CRC. Next slide, please. So as we have mentioned, we meet with our students, we talk to our students. So now let me share how we case manage our students. So how are we connecting with them? How are we talking to them? And so we do it via our CAC Canvas shell. After our first year students have attended orientation and have enrolled in classes, then they are automatically added into the Canvas shell for their CAC. We have different CAC Canvas shells and different success coaches within those Canvas shells. For example, we have our science, math, and engineering SME Canvas shell. So that would be Jennifer, who is the success coach for SME. And sometimes our students are wondering, they're like, is this a class? Will I be graded? And Canvas can look like that as a class, but we try our best to let our students that it's not graded. It's for us to be able to keep in touch with them, to share important information, to give an overview of things you can't find within a typical Canvas shell. And so here are some of the things that you can see. At the very top, you find the announcements. And that is very pertinent for students in their CAC. Sometimes we'll share important dates and deadlines. We'll share, for example, like the last day to drop without a notation on record, any speaker series for students in their major. For example, sometimes we have our pre-nursing info session, so we definitely give that information for our SME students via the Canvas shell. You also find a host of helpful topics with resources that include career resources, scholarship information, tutoring information, and many of our wellness resources available on our campus. The Canvas shell also includes a team of support. It will include their success coach, and they will include the counselor available for them based on that CAC. Next slide. So we communicate with students via our Canvas shell, but we also communicate with them via appointments. So the success coaches offer individual meetings, opportunities based on our CAC, and we do it via a website called Calendly, which is a scheduling system. And we offer 15 through 60-minute appointments. That's Zoom, phone, or in person. Sometimes when students do in-person meetings, they come to the Welcome Center, they check in, and then their success coach gets them, and then we have that conversation based on the students' questions. During the peak enrollment periods, we primarily meet with students to assist with registration, clearing holds, barriers that may prevent them from enrolling into classes. So that's probably the most of the conversations are happening with our students during that peak enrollment time, which is kind of like right now. Students are like, okay, I'm waitlisted. I got this number for the waitlist. I don't know what's going on in my life. This isn't on. And so right now, that's kind of like the conversations we're having with the students. Hey, you're waitlisted number 5. This is what that means. And so during the semester, in the middle of the semester, we're having a little bit of different conversations. We're discussing a little bit about resources, how to overcome any challenges that may get in the way through their academic progress and their experience. So we have different types of conversations, and later on we'll share more about how we communicate with students and when they can reach out to us. Right now, we'll put in the chat our scheduling links to our Success Coach website. So if you go to this link, at the very bottom, you scroll a little bit, you have all of our names, all of our CAC, and it will include our link to our Calendly appointments. So that's where students go ahead and make an appointment with us. All right, next slide, please. So again, yeah, we have met with our students. We do appointments via Zoom, online, or in person. And here are some numbers to show, how has that worked out from us, right? So these are some of our results from our students' appointments from summer, fall of 2022 compared to summer, fall of 2023. On the graph, you'll see that the orange highlighted section is for summer, fall 2022, and the section highlighted in blue is for summer, fall 23. And so in support for our new student enrollment for fall 2023, the success coaches had 985 one-on-one appointments to assist our new students. We primarily had them in Zoom. That is still sometimes the students' preference to have Zoom meetings. And with the expansion of our team, we have been available to host and increase our student appointments. As you can see, we had almost twice as much from summer and fall of 22 to summer, fall of 2023. So there has been an increase in the student appointments. So yeah, so our appointments are working. We love talking to our students. If they have any questions, we welcome them to make an appointment with us. That way we can be able to answer as much as we can or triage to those departments where we know the student will be also supported. So now that I reviewed a little bit about our success coach model, what this is, how do we case manage our students, a little bit about the Canvas shell and our student appointments, I'll go ahead and pass it on to Gurpreet. She will go ahead and conduct a little bit, she'll conduct some of our check-ins.
All righty, thank you, Ara. Yeah, so we're just gonna kind of do a little quick check-in, pause to do a little quick check-in to kind of see what we've learned today. So we have a few questions for our check-in. All right, so the first one is, what are the first year milestones? And what we can do is you guys can just put the corresponding number for the answer in the chat. So this is something that Choua had gone over earlier. So it's the 4 milestones of, all right, great. So I'm seeing a lot of 2s in the chat. All right, great. Thank you. And that is correct. The correct answer is apply for financial aid, take math and English, plan for 15 units, and get a comprehensive education plan. So those are our 4 milestones. All right, we'll move on to the next question. Okay, so the next question is, what is one item outside of the SC scope? And again, you guys can just throw in the number corresponding to the answer in the chat. See a lot of 2s, some 3s. Thank you everyone for participating. All right, so yes, the answer to this is number 3. So one thing that success coaches cannot do is create an education plan for a student. All right, next question is, what is an opt-out? Jenny went over our opt-out a bit earlier. Right, I see some 2s, some 3s. The 3s. All right, so the answer to this actually is number 4. A opt-out is a counselor created 2-semester list of classes. This is built by the counselor to include the list of classes student can take on their first 2 semesters. So this is kind of to get the students started, and then we usually recommend that the student meet with a counselor to receive a more comprehensive education plan, like in their end of their first semester. And these are I just was going to mention these are created in collaboration with counselors and faculty. Thank you. All right, so now that we've talked about our initiatives, I'm going to move on to talk a little bit about our programming that the Success Coaches host. Next slide. Thank you. So here's a look at some of our events that we typically host each year. We have the Meet Your Success Coaches. We typically host this event once every semester around mid-semester. And so this is a chance for students to meet with all of the SCs and their specific SCs. We're usually out in the quad, and students can ask questions, make an appointment with us, or we help students make a counselor appointment if needed. We also have games, prizes, and school supplies. Our spring date is coming up in March 19th and March 20th, so we'll be putting those dates out there and marketing that date. And then another event we host is Should I Drop or Not? We usually host multiple sessions of this event due to high interest, and host it strategically around or right before the drop with W deadline, which is typically in April for spring and then November for the fall semester. During this workshop, students can learn about the impacts of dropping. We also teach students how to calculate their GPA and what the difference between progress probation and academic probation. Counselors are also present there. So if students, after the workshop,
We might be having some technical difficulties. Yeah, sorry about that. Let's see, Gurpreet, if you could get back on. She was talking about the drop or not workshop though, which we try to do on time, for the close to those drop deadline dates. So some of our students don't even know what a W means. Sometimes they don't know if it's going to be something that's beneficial for them, depending on their very specific situation. So it's a chance for us to help them out, normalize that this is maybe something that a lot, college students go through, but that there's opportunities, and we invite our counselors to kind of help with that in case they need to meet with them individually at the end of the workshop. And Gurpreet, let's see if you could come back to wrap up. Oh no. Seems like you're still having some technical difficulties. Unless anyone else can hear her. Oh, okay, let me know if you could jump back in, but I'll go ahead and we could just move forward to our SST collaboration. And so I'll be talking a little bit more about how we work with our student success team. So the success coaches support the work of the student success team. This could be through helping our faculty with events that they might want to be planning, with programs that they want to do. Of course, we work with them if they want to do any student referrals that they, we'll talk about that a little bit more with Early Alert. And then we kind of act as the liaison sometimes between like student and faculty. Maybe there's some information that needs to be disseminated. Maybe there's some way for us, if we already have a relationship with that student, to be able to support them. But we, share up-to-date information about course offerings, program requirements, and other nuances with the students. So how can the success coaches support your students? One easy way is to bookmark the Success Coach webpage we shared earlier, and then we'll try to share it again right now. And so that's an easy way for you to share that with the students. They could find the success coach that's most appropriate to them, or maybe one that maybe they have already met with in the past and they'd like to go ahead and continue receiving support from them. For our instructors in the audience, keep in mind that even though your class might be like you teach a math class or you teach an English class, that the student in that class might have a different major listed. So if you want, you could just refer them to that website. We had a question in the chat about that earlier, but of course, we are open to help any students. So even though I serve primarily our general education and undecided students, I'm still open to meet with students of other majors, and the same goes for the rest of my colleagues. Some faculty do go ahead and put our information on their syllabus as a student support. We definitely encourage you to do the same. And then you could always provide our email to them, doing direct referrals, and we'll talk about the Early Alert right now too. And so for those that don't know about Early Alert, this is kind of how we see it. It's the referral system that just launched in late November, and it's made for like students that are of concern that might need that extra support. And the success coaches are receiving some of those referrals. Please keep in mind that the system has like a built-in logic to it though. So sometimes you might put in a referral for a student, let's say that they're in your there may be a psychology major or something, but they also happen to be an athlete, or maybe they're an EOP&S. That success coach or the person designated for that will get that priority rather than maybe the success coach for SBS. That's just something to keep in mind, maybe because you're kind of like, hey, why didn't I get a follow-up? And it maybe just be that according to the maybe group or program that that student is enrolled in, it might not have gone directly to their success coach for their CAC. And then also like the system has a logic where it tries to like balance it out. But this is what it will look like. We will get an email. When a request is submitted, we can see, you know, what the student's name is, when we got that, that notification, and especially like the comments or the proposed solutions are really helpful for us. Here's again a report of what it looks like when we log in. So if you're referring a student, if appropriate, it is helpful to let the student know that maybe they should be expecting communication from their success coach. Maybe that makes it easier for when they get a call from CRC. They're not like, you know, worried, oh my gosh, just financial aid calling me, what's going on? No, it's like you're going to get a call from your success coach. This is going to be something helpful. They're going to maybe respond to our email if they know that that's coming up. And then also it kind of avoids that awkward, like, wait, well, how did you know about this? What's going on? So hopefully if you find the case appropriate, you can let them know like, hey, you know, I reached out to the success coach. Hopefully they're able to help you out with, you know, whatever barrier is going on for their success in that class. Also, when submitting a referral, include maybe certain pieces of information that help us support the students better. So the options for student success was really helpful for us. You know, we can go ahead and talk to them a little bit more about what's going on in that class, but the fact that we know that you might accept late work, the fact that you know about like the flexible office hours, things like that, extra credit perhaps, that could help us with their motivation and what they can do to improve maybe their grade if it's an academic concern. Or maybe it's like, hey, I noticed that they're not turning in assignments. Maybe they need a laptop loan. Okay, we'll talk to them about that. Maybe then that's walking them over to Hawk Cares, whatever it might be. For those that maybe early alert, it's not that you know, well known, or you might need a little refresher on it. There is a video on how to use early alert. So thank you, Houa, for dropping that into the chat right now. There also might be some in the audience that maybe don't have access to make an early alert referral. So for those of you that can't make that referral, we did want to let you know that sending us an email is also accepted. And then here's just an example of that email. So as you can see, the person included the student ID. They included a little bit about what's going on, and then, you know, maybe a little bit of what they need. You're more than welcome to add more, or if you need us to do some digging, we can do that. But you know, as I mentioned before, the more information for us to be able to effectively serve the student, the better. And so just as a reminder, on the right, or sorry, the left-hand side, you're going to see what the success coaches can help with. So we can help them with their ed plan. So let's say they go meet with the counselor, they do that, and you know, it's been 3 or 4 months since they last enrolled in classes, so they need help like actually navigating e-services, and how do I do that, and how do I shop for classes that are going to be helpful for, you know, building in self-care and time management, whatever that might be. They can meet with us, answer general questions, connecting to resources, support programs, waitlisted. Basically, there's a lot that goes into attending college that's, you know, a little bit new to everyone. For our first generation students, all of those things that we need to demystify for them to help smooth the process over. But there are things, so we help with that, but there are things that are outside of the scope. So remember, course suggestions, creating those ed plans, that is more of the counselor's role when they're going through a mental health crisis. You know, that's not necessarily in our scope, and we want them to be well taken care of with someone that does have that expertise. We know a broad base of financial aid, but maybe it's very personalized financial aid, things that they need to go speak to someone about that. And we could connect them to tutoring, but we're not necessarily going to provide the tutoring or proofread their essays, things like that. So there are some opportunities for us to collaborate. So just sending us major specific events and programming that you'd like us to share with our students in our Canvas shell, that's our main form of disseminating information to those that we case manage. And we'd love to know about something that's very specific to them. They're always asking, like, how do I, move forward? How do I learn more about this career field? And if you know something that can help them figure that out, we definitely want to share that. And also help promote our events maybe to your classes. Hey, when we have a workshop coming up, like the Drop or Not workshop, that's something that you can definitely promote to them. That's appropriate for most students. And you could always find our events on our Success Coach website. We might refer students over to you and assisting those students. Maybe sometimes there's very specific things that is more that faculty can answer, that other support programs can answer better. And so we're kind of trying to do that warm handoff, and helping us with that would be really great. Sharing any changes and important information with us, because they do learn to trust us, to be that kind of place where they are able to find this important information. Like I said, something that's maybe very program specific, share it with us. Maybe there was a change in what courses you need to take, or maybe there's like, hey, there's these new offerings, whatever it might be. Please share those changes with us. We'd love to be that spokesperson for something that might benefit them. If you could promote our first year milestones, I know we went over them briefly. We're going to send you all some more information on that, but promote that, because we have seen that it has been helpful for our students as far as their college and career journey to complete those milestones. And then another way is you could always request a Success Coach presentation on our Success Coach website. There is a button on the left-hand corner that says request a presentation. So right now, currently, we have a How to Thrive at CRC presentation that we give to your classes if appropriate. And then we are also developing other presentations, just all based around student success and like creating that navigational capital for them. So look out for that. But sometimes there's some times where instead of canceling class, maybe you could say, well, instead of canceling class, we're going to have some success coaches come in, come for extra credit, or continue to make them come in, whatever it might be. But we want to make sure sometimes we have all of this valuable information, and Canvas isn't enough, and maybe coming into your classrooms might be a good way for us to go ahead and get that information across. So how to contact us, you could always, we have a general inbox, successcoach@crc.losrios.edu. We always have our Success Coach website, or you could just email any of our Success Coaches. Maybe you already have a good relationship with your CAC Success Coach, or maybe you just, through networking, met one of us, and you could go ahead and, bring it to, we'll bring it to the team table and kind of collaborate that way. But please feel free to contact us that way. And one more plug, though, is follow us on social media, or have your students follow us. We share important events, deadlines, and resources that are available to our campus. So one of our other goals, because we know that it improves student success, is for them to feel connected to our campus, connected to what's going on. And we try to foster that through our Instagram as well. That actually concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for joining us. So we just wanted to see if in the last 10 minutes, if we have any questions that we can answer for you. And you could go ahead and put it in the chat, raise your hand, maybe even unmute yourself, whatever it might be.
Hi, this is Karen from Vet Tech. I'm sorry, I can't find the little hand icon. But when I receive a phone call from a prospective student that's interested in the program, what I have been doing is referring them to our counselor, Alejandra Tovar. She knows quite a bit about our program. Should I continue to do that, or should I instead refer them to Choua, who, I'm sorry, is your name pronounced Choua?
Sure.
Anyway, our
Success coach.
what was the word I'm looking for here? Success coach.
So I don't know if Choua, you'd like to answer this question, or if you want me to.
It really just depends. You could start with me. I'm totally cool with that. Just because, our counselor could get kind of busy as well. So I don't mind if you kind of get them started with myself. And if there's a question where I'm like, oh, this is definitely not a true question, I shall also refer them to counselor. But I typically do get them started just like prerequisites and just how does the application work. So general question, like whatever's listed on the website is what I use. So if it's sort of like questions about how to get started at CRC, but if they're gonna go a little bit deeper into like I'm doing these prereqs at this college where it's going into course equivalency stuff like that, I'll be like, that's not a true question. That's definitely a counseling question. Then I will make the referral, or I will also connect with the counselor as to what's the best next steps for the students. But Karen, feel free to start with myself. I do meet with prospective students just to answer general questions. So in case, our counselor Alejandra is busy, they can always come to me.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And Dr. A, I see that you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I was just going to emphasize that it's not that you can't go ahead and continue to refer students directly to counselors, right? We see and we get, I've got multiple emails in my inbox now from students. It's just kind of the level of the information that they might need. And so for me, like you heard Choua say, if it's a situation where Choua can help that student quickly and get them set up, I'll actually refer that student to Choua to kind of handle the situation. If it's more complicated with the transcripts and other questions that they're drilling down, and which you might be getting as well, not really understanding the minimum requirements, taking a different chemistry or biology course and how that might work. Those questions you definitely want to refer to the counselor, but it's not that you cannot continue to refer students to counselors. Just wanted to emphasize that.
Thank you, Dr. A. And yeah, we're really, really grateful for our partnership and collaboration that we do with our counseling department. And it's just how you explained that. So we're able to kind of help on the front lines, and then there's always these complexities. But of course, starting that relationship with counselors, if they already want to start right there too, that works as well. Any other questions anyone might have? Well, I don't see any more. We have about 5 minutes. So if anything pops up, we're gonna stick around. We'll stay here. I'm just gonna go ahead and stop the recording.
A quick question.
Oh, go ahead.
I love feedback from students any way possible. If I wanted to tap your bright ideas for how to better do that, or better ideas of student feedback, do you think that would be something you could handle, or I could ask you as an instructor?
So 2 things came to mind when you said student feedback. Do you want an example of like how we also get student feedback, or do you want kind of like common concerns that we see from our students? Like, oh, okay, like this is what really worked, maybe this is what really made me successful in this class versus like this is how I was struggling. Like, are you trying to say
Well, I'm thinking more like along the lines of like formal feedback of how the instructor is doing or how the class is going. from the students, you know.
Oh, yeah, and if you'd like our collaboration and maybe like actually sending that out to students, or maybe we could talk on the side later about like how we could collaborate on that.
Well, yeah, so that's in your ballpark. You guys can handle that.
We
What
always kind of
bad?
want to hear, especially like how for those students that we're case managing, we always want to hear kind of like a little bit of a needs assessment, right? Because the students that are coming to us, we're seeing kind of what they're struggling with, but it's always good and insightful knowledge. I don't think we've actually developed like or done that before. I don't know if Choua can answer to that because she's been here a little bit longer. But we're always open to talk about it.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I don't have a question. I just have a comment. I mean, I have heard a success coach before, even, last semester or the semester before, but I don't have much knowledge of, what you guys do. So this has been a great workshop that I learned a lot, and I'm definitely going to, use you guys. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna
when
do the
we
heart reaction.
appreciate, I was going to say, if I know some of our CAC faculty do put like a little blurb or plug in their syllabus for students to reach out to a success coach for help, but that could be something we could, if you're up for it, if you have room in your syllabus, because I know your syllabuses are jam-packed with things, but that's something that could also be helpful for our students to be able to know that they have us as a resource to connect with as well. But I'm glad that you joined us today and hope that you're taking away a lot of good stuff with you.
Yes, and you guys, your energy is amazing. I really, applaud for that. And definitely I'll be including your website in my syllabus. Definitely. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm just gonna go ahead and stop the recording really quick.